Hey there. My name is Kat Bijard, and I am working with Beyond Academics this summer, and I am interviewing a great club today. Do you guys want to go ahead and introduce what the club is and then who you are?
Yeah. So we are UNCG Gaming and Esports Club. We're a club on UNCG's campus. I'm Sophia Priest, and I'm currently the vice president of our club. And in the fall, I will be our president.
And I am Kevin Liu. I am currently the president of the gaming club, and I will be relinquishing the title to Sophia in the fall.
Awesome, awesome. So can I ask Kevin, are you graduating or are you just stepping off of your pedestal to just do other things?
So I was supposed to graduate already, but things happened with COVID and UNCG doing some stuff. So I just think it's easier for me to give up the position now than later in spring. It also gives Sophia more time to
Yeah.
fill the shoes instead of having like a semester then summer and to come back and what be president again. So I just think it's easier.
Yeah, yeah, totally. That was just my own curiosity, not
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
related
Yeah. Yeah.
to this. But I think that's great. I think this is a club that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in.
Mhm.
Before I get to my questions, do you just want to talk about, I don't know, anything that we should know? Of course, some of my questions are repetitive, so
That's all
you
good.
might feel like you're already going to answer these questions, but anything that is just interesting or just something exciting about the club that you want to share?
I mean, so we basically get together about every Friday when we're at school, and we usually get together in the School of Education building, which is right on campus. It's kind of near where the Bojangles is, if you know where that
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet for from like 4 to 7 usually, and we just play video games, and that's the club. And it's great. It's just a nice way to unwind after a week on a Friday, and people can just come and play games that we have. We usually have a game called Super Smash Brothers Ultimate up on the big projector screen that people can play. We
Mm-hmm.
bring some of our own controllers, just some of our own like hardware that people can use. We have a monitor that we bring, and people can bring their own systems and play whatever they want. And yeah, it's just a nice little hangout place,
Yeah.
just with
Yeah.
games and talking with other like-minded individuals who also like games. So yeah, and we also have a Discord server that we use to communicate with each other. So,
Okay.
and I
Cool.
can definitely send you the link for that, like the invite link, so that people can click on it and join us if they want to.
Yes. Definitely. Any links or social media pages or anything that you have and want to share, email, I know you guys have your own UNCG gaming
Mhm.
email address. Anything you want to share with me, I'd be happy to share it with students.
Yeah.
But cool. Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and get into the questions. Again, if there's anything that you have a question about, uh, please just ask. First one is, who is your club for?
Um, I mean, in my experience, I'd say it's pretty much for anyone who wants to play video games or is interested in playing video games. I know in the past, like with my friends on campus, they've just been like, "Hey, can I come just to like hang out with you and just like relax?" And I'm like, "Sure, come." And they're usually because a lot of my friends aren't like super into video games like I am or some of the other people in the club are, but they just come anyways and just like play games, and it's just a casual thing to do because you don't have to have a certain amount of skill to play games, really. I mean, it's different for like competitive stuff, which we do get into as well as a club, but it's just anyone can really come who has an interest. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was kind of going to get to is like, do certain majors or types of
Yeah,
people tend to join this club? Like, do you have to be like really good at video games
you
to
do not.
join?
I am not very good at video games. I'm definitely because we have a lot of people who are really into competitive, like multiplayer games. Like I said before, we have a really big focus on Super Smash Brothers Ultimate because that's what a lot of people are really interested in right now, and that's a very multiplayer based game. Like you're playing against other people. It's really competitive if you want to make it competitive. It can also be like casual and fun if you want it to be. But I'm terrible at it. I am not good at that game. But I really like single player games, which are just more story based. Like you usually play it on your own. And something that I'd like to incorporate in our club in the fall more often is just like having people playing their own games at club, like just interacting with other people and just playing their own game. They don't have to be playing multiplayer games, really.
Okay,
So,
cool.
and this is kind of random, but I've noticed we have a lot of computer science people, which I guess makes sense because like computers and video games go hand to hand. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool observation. Sometimes whether clubs realize it or not, like maybe they advertise to like in a department more, or like maybe there just seems to be like what you said, like if you are into computer science, like you're already kind of
Already playing.
yeah. Awesome. Let's see. You said this a little bit already, but if you could just repeat it for us. Where and when does your club meet, and do students need transportation to get there?
So we meet on campus in the School of Education building. We usually meet on the second floor in either room 202 or 204. It really just depends on what we get reserved at the beginning of the semester. So that's something we'll figure out like at the beginning of the semester and let everyone know. And for transportation, I would say that most of our people are on campus or really close to campus because we do not provide transportation for our meetings. But if someone like really wants to come and like needs transportation to be able to come, I'm sure that's something we could discuss with them and see if that's a possibility. And there's also all of the transit options that are in Greensboro. So,
Definitely.
and I know that the School of Education building, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's very wheelchair accessible. It's just a very accessible building in general. So there's a elevator that comes up to the second floor. So yeah.
Okay, great. In the case that we have to go online again for distance learning, have you guys thought about how, like, will your club continue? And if so, how? That kind of thing.
We haven't discussed as a club yet, but I have some ideas for what we could possibly do because, yeah. And so the good thing about our club is that video games are already online. Like for people, whether you're playing like PC games or console games, like you're going to have a computer or something nearby. And with the Discord thing that we have, there's a voice chat option on there where you can talk to people and like someone can live stream a game to show other people what they're doing. And I was thinking we could really utilize that option if we go online again, or if we have to really restrict our club meetings. And we would meet like same normal time, but we'd just be meeting in a more little like meeting area on Discord instead.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Definitely. Because I think the students want to know that even if things are kind of crazy and up in the air and, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty, that you guys still have an interest in like wanting to hang out in some way.
We'll still definitely be meeting. And I know that like we might have less people doing that just because not everyone might want to like just be in a voice chat and talk to people, but that way we'd be able to still talk with our people and just like maintain a community within our club. So.
That's really nice. Yeah. Cool. So you've described it a little bit already. You're really good at this. What type of environment can students expect? So I know you said if in person, School of Education building, it's fairly accessible, you know, as far as wheelchair access, and there's elevators and things like that. But as far as like, you know, when I walk in, you know, you talked a little bit about a projector for this, you know, one game. Are the lights going to be off, or, you know, just those kinds of things, like, you know, with my senses, what can I expect?
Right. So if you walk into our club, so there's like 2 doors to the room. So if you come into like the first door that like comes to the projector, you'll see like a big screen that has some game on it. Usually it'll be Super Smash Brothers, but sometimes we've been trying to incorporate this into our clubs more often. We'd like to have little like holiday days when there's a holiday coming up. Like when Halloween was happening, we had like a big scary game. It was called Outlast on the board.
Okay.
And like, someone was up there playing it and like getting scared and stuff. So that was fun. So we usually have a game up there. And then there's this little like desk station, which is where like the Nintendo Switch or whatever console we're using or computer we're using to stream the game onto the projector is right there. And then there's this big long table. And that big long table has a bunch of controllers and other things on it, just things that people can use to play games. And then there's a bunch of other long tables. And then on those are just like people playing games. We usually have like, I kind of mentioned before that with the Super Smash Brothers game, it can be very casual, but it can also be really competitive. And what we usually have is that the people who are just more relaxed playing it, they're in the front on the projector screen. And then we have another setup, kind of not in the back, but like they usually set up towards kind of the middle, and they're the more competitive setup players.
Okay.
We gotta have.
Okay, so it seems like there's kind of a little bit of differentiation between like how you want to play.
But everyone is still very involved with each other, I think, because I mean, everyone talks to one another, and even if you come into our club without knowing anyone really, like the officers, I know me and Sam, who isn't here, we would definitely like come to you and talk to you and be like, hey, who are you? What's up? What's going on? What kind of games are you interested to? Because we just like to welcome everyone into our little environment. So
yeah, awesome.
we just like to talk to everybody who comes in. It's a very friendly place, I would say. So
yeah.
And if you don't want to be talked to, that's fine too. That is all good. So
yeah. So did I hear you say that you provide some of like the like controllers and
so obviously they are.
But I don't play a lot.
It's all good. Obviously, they aren't to take home or anything, but we do provide some controllers and stuff that people can use to play games. And I know that I bring my personal items as well, just because I have a ton from playing a lot of video games. And yeah, we just bring controllers for people to use. I know we definitely have a lot of GameCube controllers, because that's very good for Super Smash Brothers.
Okay.
And I think we have some PS4 controllers and other items like that. So yeah.
Do some people bring their own equipment?
Yes, people definitely bring their own stuff, because if someone wants to play on their own, like let's say for instance someone wants to play a game on their Xbox One and we don't have an Xbox One, so they could bring their Xbox One and be like, hey, could I borrow the monitor that you guys have and play on it? And we'd be like, yeah, sure, no one's using it right now. And they could go and do that and just bring their own stuff and play. And a lot of people bring their own controllers as well, because they get used to like the feel of their own controller, so they like to bring their own. So
okay.
Yeah.
And does this room have a lot of different monitors, or like how do you guys manage like a group of people wants to play this, but then there's only so many spaces, or I'm not exactly sure like what the room is like.
Yeah. So we usually bring one of our own monitors, because we have one club monitor that we bring, and we usually have people bringing their own monitors as well. So we have like one extra monitor if people want to use it, or if we have a game that we particularly want to put on that day. So we have one monitor that we have, but people tend to bring their own as well. So
okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome. What are some social norms of your space for students to be aware of?
Yeah.
So even just as much as kind of like what you were saying, like when I first come, should I go up and like tell somebody I'm new, or do I just go ahead and sit down, or do I need to sign in, or do a certain players sit one place, and like if I'm not playing that game, I need to go somewhere else, or kind of any kind of social norms?
So I feel like whenever we see someone new coming in, we instantly are like, hey, hello, welcome, like I kind of mentioned before. And we kind of welcome them in and we let them know what games are being played that day. We let them know, like, oh, those people are doing competitive Smash over there. Those people are doing casual stuff. Oh, those people over there are playing like a puzzle game on the Nintendo Switch. And we just kind of let people know what's going on so they can decide, like, okay, this is where I want to go in the room, because it's not really like, it's kind of differentiated by game, but everyone is still kind of mingling together and talking together from what I've seen. And I guess some of the just social norms in general is just like, if two people are playing like an intense match together in a game, like don't interrupt them, like let them play until the end of it, and then maybe ask some questions that you may have for them. And I mean, we don't really during video games people tend to get kind of loud, so we tend to have some loud people, but obviously keep it to like not a super crazy maximum. So but yeah, just normal like social norms are enacted in our club, but have fun is like the biggest one, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. And I believe you said that the club went on for a few hours.
Yes, it does.
So yeah.
That's unique from other clubs because they usually only meet for like half an hour, but we meet for 3 hours. So yeah.
Yeah. So if I get hungry during that time, what should I do maybe?
So there is a vending machine in the School of Education building that I tend to go to and get snacks. And like I mentioned before, the Bojangles is kind of close to the School of Education building. It's like pretty close. And the CAF and the Chick-fil-A are not too far either. So it is not uncommon for someone to be like, hey, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get Chick-fil-A. And they come back like 20 minutes later.
Okay.
And sometimes we do bring food to our meetings. Sometimes we have really awesome club members who bring their own like big things of food and they're like, hey, have food, guys. And it's awesome. And we have that sometimes. I know we've had pizza sometimes just for like mini celebrations, like it's reading day, yay, school's almost over, woo,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. We do try to bring food on like nice, like exciting days, maybe if it's a holiday. I know I mentioned the Halloween thing before. We brought like a bunch of candy to people and we're like, hey, it's Halloween, eat candy. So we don't have food every time, but there are food options nearby.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know. That way students can either kind of think like, okay, I might want to be prepared with some food,
Yeah.
or just know my options.
I like to bring food beforehand just so I can like eat it at the beginning because we do start like 4 to 7 because 7 is just when the building closes. So that's why we end then.
Okay.
And like at 4-ish, that's kind of when people start to get a little bit hungry for dinner. So I know I usually just bring food there and we can eat in that room. There's no problem doing that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for being so specific. That helps. Does it cost anything to join your club or to be an active member?
Nothing. No money at all. We honestly, like, if you want to join the club, you just show up and say, hey, I want to join. And that is all you have to do. It costs absolutely nothing. The only thing that would cost money, I think, is we actually went on a trip to Round One, which is this arcade in Greensboro last semester. And the place, like, Round One would cost money, but we don't charge anything at all. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And
No
Kevin, you're totally welcome to like, if there's something you want to talk about, I don't mean to like cut you out. You're totally welcome.
No, yeah. I think Sophia's doing actually a really good job. I don't want to break her flow here.
I understand. How welcoming is your club to new people or beginners?
So I would definitely say it's pretty welcoming. For new people, definitely welcoming because we're always like, hey, welcome, like what's going on? And I know that we just love to have new people in our club as well. And I know at the beginning of the semester, we tend to get like a good amount of new people because they see it like on the list of clubs and they're like, oh shoot, I want to go play games. So we love to have new people and we love to meet them and just like talk with them and see what they're interested in, because we also like to gauge what they're interested in. So we know like what games we should be having in our club. So, and what teams we should be thinking of having competitively. And for beginners, like I take that as like beginners in video games. Like
Yeah.
that's definitely welcome. I mean, someone who comes into the club might be kind of intimidated by like how good some people are at games, but I know for me, like as someone who isn't that good at like the games that typically people play, like multiplayer kind of games like Smash, like it's still a really welcoming environment for me, even though I might not be the best at games. So
So what I hear you say is that I can select my Jigglypuff and then basically just fall off a cliff every single time and
absolutely.
not not do any damage to anybody, and that's okay.
Okay, yeah. We might be like, yeah, go off. Look at you go. Jumping off. We'll be like, okay, sure, why not? I know some of my friends who have come, they do exactly that thing because they don't know how to jump in that game and they still have fun. So.
Yeah, yeah. Or I'm wondering too, like if someone just said, "Hey, I just want to come and watch other people play games."
Oh yeah, people definitely do that. Like that's totally a fine thing to do. As long as like the people who are playing them are comfortable with it, like that's definitely something you can do. So I know some people tend to sometimes even do homework while they're there, which is cool too. Like
Yeah,
it's just a
maybe.
nice space for people to be
Yeah,
and people who like video
sounds
games.
like
So,
maybe it's a relaxing environment for some
yeah,
people.
definitely. Because I feel like for people who really like video games, it might be relaxing for them to just hear that going on in the background and like hear the button clicks and people talking about it in the background. So.
Yeah, very cool. You kind of already said this, but I just want to ask it outright. What would you say to a student who may feel intimidated by or uneasy with getting involved? So, kind of
Yeah.
like what you were saying, like if someone's intimidated by, like, there's this group of players who's just like awesome,
Going off on
and
going hard.
yeah, what would you say to them?
I would say like I understand the feeling of being intimidated by that. Like I've grown up like in a tournament setting pretty much my whole life because my dad actually plays like a card game competitively. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a fun game. A lot of people in our club play it, and I just like grew up in those spaces, just like being there, and I felt that a lot of like, oh my god, these people are so good. Because I would play too. I wasn't good because I was like 10, but like I would be kind of intimidated, but the good thing to realize is that those people were in the same shoes as you once, where they entered the setting and there were people who were obviously like better than them at the game in some capacity, whether it's on skill or just like experience in the game. But that doesn't mean that you can't get in there and like try your hardest at it and like get as good as them. And even if you don't want to get to that point, like those people aren't scary. Like I can assure you, like the people in our club, they might be intimidating at first at their skill level, which is like not that like they're not scary. But if you are intimidated by that, I promise that everyone in our club is just like nice, good people. They just want to play games. And
Yeah, yeah. So I hear you talking about there's like kind of like two layers of this. There's just like the club
yeah,
itself where people are coming and like maybe socially playing, but then there is this kind of competition speed
yeah,
like piece of
definitely.
it. How does that work? And how does somebody like say like I want to competitively
Yeah.
play this game or and how does that work?
Yeah. So we have teams that we have, yeah. And we these teams go and they do games competitively with other teams that exist. Usually it's other colleges, so they're like collegiate teams that we have. It's pretty cool. Our not our biggest one, but I think it's our more like popular one is our Smash Brothers team, which people are like really into. And I think our kind of rule, I guess you could call it, for teams is that if you find enough people who have the same interest, like if a bunch of people want to have a Call of Duty team, if they find the amount of people for that, or if we find that there are other people who are saying to us, like, hey, I'd like to be on a team for this certain game, then we'll kind of put you guys together and give you guys the resources that you kind of need for that. And Kevin, if you want to hop in at all, I know you're more on the competitive side. So
Yeah, you're hitting everything on the nail.
cool.
I honestly, like, I don't even think I need to be here because I came in here like fully ready to back you up with any like extra questions, any extra answers, but you're just like, I got it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Well,
gonna stay here, and then like if you just get really quiet, I'll jump in. But you're doing awesome. You're doing like really awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
so you said like if there's enough people interested. Oh, hi, Kitty.
She's here. She arrived. It's
Oh
okay.
my gosh. Um,
She says, "Come to gaming club. Join us. We're great." She's the mascot, not actually, but
I'm gonna include that in my short snippet so that
Yeah.
people can see the kitty. So I can be like, how do you not want to join this club?
exactly. It's a kitten. Like, come on.
Oh, I'm a sucker. So I heard you say like students have to get like enough people
Yes.
interested and involved. Like, what is enough? Is enough just me being really loud about how I want everyone to play this game with me? Or like,
Enough is the amount of people you need for a team.
okay.
So if I know, Kevin, for League, you need 5 people, right?
Yeah, 5 people.
So for
Uh,
I mean like League of Legends. Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
okay. So each game varies. Typically the average amount of players needed on a team is like 5.
Okay.
So if like one person wants a team, but we don't have a team for that, then we would just find 4 other people, and then there's your team right there. Some games are 3, some games are 6. It just solely depends on the game that they're wanting to play.
Right. And League tends to be one of our more popular games too for a team because people just like League and play it. It's a really popular game that people play. And what we mean by enough is just like having the people that you need for a team.
Okay. Okay.
Because if you don't have to be like super into it, you just have to be like, hey, I want to do this as a team. And we'll be like, okay, we'll try to find people. Thank you for letting us know. That's kind of how that works.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. And any of these questions, if there's something that like the answers might differ for just like the club as a whole or like the esports like competition part of it, like just kind of
Yeah, for sure.
welcome to differentiate.
Yeah.
Next one is, how does your club market or advertise to students or potential members?
So this is something we're definitely trying to like push forward with more this semester and kind of advertise more. Let me move my cat. She's still here.
I mean, you can keep the cat here. I mean,
That's
I'm not going to be mad about it.
She wants to be part of the meeting, I guess. But as I was saying, we try to do some tabling events during the semester.
Mhm.
Sometimes with our schedules, it just doesn't work out. But we like to have little events in the EUC, which is like our commons building that people walk through all the time.
Mhm.
And we like to have like a little setup that people can play games on. It might be a little bit different with how coronavirus is going, just because of like the sanitary stuff involved in that. So we'll see. But we like to do that, just like tabling events. We have a email newsletter that I helped run these past semesters. And it's just a way for people to get information about it. We partner with a local arcade called Lost Ark Arcade, which is really awesome. They're a great place to go, just a really fun place to go to. And they partner with us. So they kind of, I don't know if they talked about us, but it'd be cool if they did. So yeah.
Do you guys partner with any of the other clubs? Like I know that there's a tabletop gaming.
Yeah, SF3. Yeah. So sometime I wouldn't say that we have a ton of events together, but we definitely like know each other and like go to each other for certain things. Like if someone in our club is like, hey, I want to play a bunch of tabletop games, we're like, hey, go check out SF3. That's what they do. They love tabletop games. So just kind of that kind of relationship with our clubs. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So sometimes we collab with other clubs.
Oh yeah.
More often than not, they ask to collab with us just because it's like easier for them. It doesn't happen that often, but you'd be surprised about what clubs try to do a collaboration with us. I think
Which
our
one?
weirdest collab was like with FASA,
Yeah.
the Filipino Association students.
We made a big tournament with them. It was great.
Yeah. I think that was one of the not weirder ones, but definitely one of the ones that you don't
Wouldn't
really
think.
expect. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did that collaboration look like? Like just members of their club kind of like, oh, like, hey, we want to hang out with your club. Like what does a collaboration really look like?
So, collaborations in general are just like, hey, we want to do something fun for this event, and we hear that you guys have a lot of games. Do you mind if you join? That's usually what most collaborations are. But for this one in particular, um, I think most of the exec board on FAFSA were friends of mine. So there was like a little bit of smack talk going around of saying like, oh, they were better than us in certain things. And I was like, oh, I mean, we can just see. And then we had a little collaboration. Um,
Mhm.
and that's how that one came about. But typically it's just, hey, we're doing this event for newcomers or as like a de-stress event. We know you guys have a bunch of games. Do you mind if you guys just come and set up and we can all hang out? And we're just like, yeah, we can do that.
When that was a good event, I remember that. And something I just remembered that we didn't mention before is that I wouldn't say it's a collab, but kind of like an outreach of what we have. It's called Don't Tilt. It's a Super Smash Brothers tournament thing that we have about every Thursday. I'm not sure how it's going to look this upcoming semester due to COVID-19 regulations, but it's something that a lot of people tend to come to. I feel like there's been upwards of 50 people there sometimes. It's a big tournament that people come to, and we have people coming from other schools. Like I know that we've had people from Chapel Hill and NC State coming, and that's a really great thing that we have as well. So,
Awesome. Wow.
and we're like partnered into that. Like we help run it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So tabling, also collaborations with other students, other clubs. Do you guys have a social media page or?
Technically, we do, but
Yeah,
it's not.
it's a little lacking. We'll
It's
Okay.
a
we'll give it out when we feel prepared to say it's ours.
Okay.
when
It's a
there's some
little lacking. Yeah, it's a little lacking right now.
this semester.
Okay.
This semester, it gets good. It's gonna have
Okay.
so many pictures. So
No
many.
pressure.
No
No
pressure.
pressure.
Oh no, I've been trying to get this our social media working for like the past semester. There's a lot of pressure on this. It's so hard.
Oh, I'm
We need a
sorry.
social media person.
No, like we're just not like social media enough. Like we don't post enough essentially.
Yeah, you're too busy playing your games.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
when could someone just stop and be like, okay, everybody?
Let's
Let's,
take a picture.
yeah, yeah, there's not time. I understand. Um, so how do you expect students to get involved with and engage in your club? So what would you like to see from students, new
Yeah.
incoming students?
I would like to. So we get a lot of emails from people that are like, "Hey, I saw your club. I'm really interested in it. When does this happen?" And then we email back with like, "Hey, this is when our club meets. Come on down. Like it's fun." And I think that I'd like to see people just come in and play games and just talk to other people and maybe not be scared to interact with the other people that we have in the club, because I've noticed that some people are just more shy coming in, but I know that like we've all been there, definitely. And just coming in and getting involved is just really awesome, and we love to see it. Just people meshing in with our community. So, and I feel like that's an easy thing to do, honestly, because we're all just really relaxed people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So coming,
Yeah.
engaging with people, talking to them about the games that they're playing, even if it's something that you don't play, maybe watching, learning about different games, and then also maybe just kind of chilling, hanging out.
Because the good thing about video games is that even if you don't play something, you're likely to have heard about it
Mhm.
or just like know about it. Like there are tons of games that I don't play, but I still know about them. Like being in gaming club and just like knowing that in general as a fan of video games in general. So there's
Yeah,
always something to talk about.
yeah. So maybe expanding some of your own knowledge about
Yeah,
what's out there.
definitely.
Cool. Does your club socialize outside of club meetings? And if so, how?
I feel like sometimes we've been to places just after club, like, hey, do you guys want to go grab some food? That's something we've definitely done because it's like 7-ish, and if people haven't eaten by then, they're hungry and they're like, I want food. Let's go get food. And it's definitely not like clicky at all. Like that is not how I would describe it, even in the slightest. Like it's whoever wants to go grab food, let's go grab food. Like, let's just go. And for like socializing outside of club, we do have the Discord that we have. So people can talk on that. Like if they meet someone in club that they didn't get the contact information of, that they're like, hey, I want to be friends with them. They're cool. They can like find them on the Discord. So
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome. And then that kind of goes right into my next one. How many members would you say are friends outside of club meetings?
Yeah. Honestly, like, because there's the Smash team that we have, and they're a pretty like close group of people, but they also just talk to everyone else too. So, but I'd say like, is it cheesy to say that everyone is like acquaintances with one another at least? Because that's kind of what's happening.
No. I think
that's pretty much what goes on.
Yeah,
Like not
that's
everyone is best friends, but like we all know each other, if not by name. Because I would say most people know their name, like each other's name. Like I would say I know most everyone's name who comes in our club. So yeah, we're not all super close, but those of the people in our club who are close, like it's a good like friendship that they have, of course. And like, yeah, acquaintances, everybody. That's what I would say.
yeah. Okay.
Everyone knows of one another.
How can students remain connected after graduation, if they can remain connected?
So, honestly, we are not strict on who comes to club. We're just kind of like, yeah, come to club. It doesn't matter who you are, just come. And if you're graduated, you can still come. We don't care. we do not mind at all. And if you don't, like we have the Discord that you can talk on. I know that some of our past officers, like we still have them like on our Discord, like as officers, because they like to interact with people.
Okay. Cool. Uh-oh. I think you're muted, or I can't hear you now. Or maybe it's just me.
You can't hear Sophia?
I hear Kevin now. Oh wait, there you are.
I don't know what happened. Okay.
Maybe it was just a little glitch, or maybe it might have been just my internet, because that happens sometimes.
That is all good.
But sorry, I heard you say, oh, hi. I heard you say that the students can still come, or they can, get.
Either one.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Do you have any values or traditions that you want students to know about?
Honestly, I wouldn't say we have any real traditions other than just like eating pizza sometimes. And just like coming to club and just having fun. I wouldn't really say we have any traditions. I guess our values are just like being good to one another, like not being toxic or like getting really mad during a game. Like we understand like if you're frustrated, but don't like start throwing stuff, obviously.
Mhm.
Like that's a little excess. So just like good sportsmanship, I would say.
Yeah. Have you had an experience where like someone has gotten super upset?
I have never experienced that because people in our club tend to understand like it's not that serious. Like it's all in good fun. Like even if you're playing the competitive stuff, like it's still not that serious. Like it's still good and fun. So even like when I've been to Don't Tilt, which is like the more competitive thing because it's actually like a tournament that you pay for and like get involved in.
Mhm.
I'm sure people get more frustrated, but like I have not really seen it. So
Okay, well that's good. Yeah. I guess in my mind, I might think like, uh-oh, there might be somebody who just like, and I mean, I think it's happened to all of us within reason, right? Where we get really mad or frustrated that it
I've been
didn't
very
work
frustrated
out.
with the game before, and I'm like, I need to do something else right now because this is so annoying. So it happens to everyone, but I feel like it doesn't really happen in our club because like there's other people around to like chill people out, and like people don't want to have like a rage quit in front of other people. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. That's good. In your experience, have you witnessed any beyond academic students engaging in your club in the past? And you may not know.
I don't know, honestly. If someone has, they didn't tell us,
Mhm.
but not in my knowledge. But that
Okay.
doesn't,
I
that doesn't,
actually have a little bit of knowledge on this one. We do have a couple students that come in for like the first two meetings, but then they don't show up afterwards. I never really get the chance to ask why, because obviously they don't show up anymore, and I can't ask them why.
Yeah.
Um, but if I had to guess, it's probably just like the amount of people,
Mm.
because it is a different feeling for someone new to come in to a club,
Mhm.
and everyone's just doing their own thing. And even with like a proper introduction, it still gets a little um, weird, especially for freshmen and sophomores. Like if they come alone, um, they're probably less likely to come. But if I found that if they come with friends, they're more likely to stay because then they don't feel, um, even if like we don't try to single anyone out, which we don't, like try to include everyone. Usually freshmen are more shy to joining a new club without
Yeah.
their friends there.
Which
Yeah.
makes, because like they're at a new school. So,
Yeah.
And especially college too. College is a lot different than high school. So most freshmen tend to shy away just because it's new and different.
mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate that comment, Kevin, because I think, um, I think that's some of the reason that I'm interviewing you is because I want to try to get students to see, like, hey, there are these people there that are real people and they're nice, and here's what they're going to tell you to expect so that you can kind of like think about these things before you even get there,
Yeah.
so that maybe you can avoid some of that awkward, shy feeling. Although, it's okay and natural to feel a little awkward and shy. Um, but I like what you said about like maybe bringing a friend that you're more likely to keep coming back.
Definitely. That's a great thing to do, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Awesome. Good insight. How important is diversity to your club?
I would say incredibly important. And I feel like with video games in general, like it's a very male dominated environment just because in history it's just like historically male. And in our club, we'd like to open it up to just anyone who wants to come to play games because video games aren't like a specifically like you have to look like this, you have to be like this kind of activity. Like you can do anything and play video games. And I know for our club, like one of the things I want to do is just try to open up that diversity more. Cause I know like for me, like being a girl, like I love to see like people who look like me coming to club, like
Mhm.
who are girls and like who do play games. And just diversity in general, I think is just important to any club that is on our campus because UNCG is an incredibly diverse university. So I think it's highly important to our club. So, and that's
Awesome.
something that we try to encourage.
Mhm. Mhm. Cool. Yeah, I agree. In my mind, I kind of have this image of like, um, you know,
A gamer.
a gamer,
Yeah.
a gamer as like maybe a white guy.
Yeah. Which
Um,
is no.
yeah,
But and like that's fine if that is what you look like and you play games. Like
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
bad, but it's just opening that image up to people who look different than that. I feel is really important. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially with, even there's different video games with like female leads, and things like that. I
definitely.
know my partner is really interested in a video game called The Last of Us, and,
Oh yeah,
and so she really loves that game.
yeah,
Again, I don't know enough,
yeah.
but
No,
I
that's a really popular game, honestly.
mhm.
And like as a bisexual woman myself, like I love the LGBT community, and I would love to see that even more so in our club. So, and
Awesome.
there's so many games that like help represent us in a good light. So, and I tend to play a lot of those games too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you for
of
being
course.
open and sharing. Um, what accommodations could your club provide for variously abled students across a range of disabilities? So,
Yeah.
um, is you know, I don't know if anyone's ever asked for any kind of accommodation, but is there something that you could see your club doing or anything like that?
Yeah, so we haven't had a lot of people ask for accommodations, but I know with some disorders that like over sensory overload can be a big thing. And if that's something that someone is dealing with and needs help with, we can definitely look into what options we can or what actions we can take to make the club a better experience for them and make it less intense for them. So yeah. Like if they need the lights to be turned off because that's interfering with them, then sure, we don't need them on.
Mhm.
Like no one is doing any like very tiny work on an unlighted screen because they're all lighted. So.
Yeah.
And like I said before, like there's full wheelchair access to the room, and just honestly anything if anyone needs it, any accommodation we can try to figure out with them. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Um, does your club connect in any way to academic or career skills? And if so, how?
I feel like that's an interesting question because I think video games in general are very like not very career oriented unless you're going into video games and like computer science, which then is like pretty hand in hand with one another.
Yeah.
But in general, I wouldn't say that video games are very like on the surface. It isn't very like, oh yeah, this directly has to do with all these skills that you can have. But video games themselves are honestly really helpful for things. And
Yeah.
I know for me, like I've been playing video games for as long as I can remember, and I know that like it's giving me like concrete critical thinking and problem solving skills because of that.
Mhm.
And games in general, like there's the obvious like motor, like eye motor skills. I think that's what it's called because you're just doing things with your hands and keeping active in some sort of way. I There's definitely not like an on the surface thing, but once you like look into it a little bit more, it's like, oh, of course that would help. And in our club, you're socializing with people, so of course that helps. So just like talking to others in a group setting, and with the multiplayer competitive stuff, it's learning how to have like conflict with others in a healthy way. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. I think uh, there's skills that are there. I think it's just knowing how to talk about them. So, like for example, I hope that you guys are putting, your leadership experience on your resumes, right? Because this is, you're building skills, communication skills, team building kind of skills.
Yeah.
And I think it's just knowing how to talk about it for like the professional people out there who maybe want to know, like, share a time that you were a leader in. And I think there's a lot of ways to talk about it. It's just like you got to know the language.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, I think my kitty might want to get involved. um,
Cat Zoom meeting. No.
I know, that's totally fine. Come here.
Woo! Kevin, do you have a cat? Oh, a tail.
No, I do not.
Kevin, you should get a cat just for
I,
this.
I will think
Oh,
about it.
what a sweetie.
I think I have to say, I do believe that's the last of my questions.
All
But if
right.
there's something that I didn't ask that you think that people should know about, or just any other plugs for your club, please share.
I think that's it, honestly. I mean, we would love to have new members, and with the whole COVID-19 dealio, we'll figure out what's happening exactly for the fall. But yeah, like we'd love to have some more people, no matter what background they are from. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I am going to stop recording.